and bienvenida to News 4's Hispanic Heritage Month special. I'm Sarah Mikowitz. For the past month, we've been traveling across Western New York to find stories of pride, joy, and celebration of Hispanic culture. From artists to doctors to chefs and community leaders, we're introducing you to the people who help make our region so special. We start right here in the Queen City, where one couple shares their journey as Boricuas and Buffalonians through their art.
It's all controlled chaos.
There's no better therapeutic relief for Hector Morales than this.
I feel like every time I'm getting anxious or anything, I always find myself working on some type of art.
Hector unlocked his talent as an artist when he was 9 years old, shortly after moving to Buffalo from Puerto Rico.
Throughout my life, I tried never to lose that touch with Puerto Rico, and through my art, I always try to keep that connection.
Each of his masterpieces paint vibrant depictions of Puerto Rico's culture and history.
We are a very rich culture, so it's pretty easy for me to dig into our culture and pick things that allow me to tell our story.
It's very important for him to tell the stories of our history, good and bad, right?
Glissette was always inspired by her husband's creativity. One day, the couple took a pottery class and joke about what happened next.
He was horrible, horrible at it, but I was really good at it. I had a knack for it, and I thought, you know, this is interesting. I never thought that I was creative at all until I found clay.
Glissette is also using art to connect with her roots.
It is really through pottery that has allowed me to connect to that part of my Latino heritage, which is very specific to the island of Puerto Rico, which are indigenous Taino people.
The Taino people use the technique hand coiling. It's a method for building pottery by hand using a wheel.
It's a slow process.
It requires a steady hand and plenty of patience. Maybe because it's molded in her DNA, it came naturally to Glissette.
I just continue to learn and push myself to try new things with clay.
The two artists under the same roof with very different techniques.
I am very linear and tend to be very technical about my work. I think it's the special educator in me. I want to know what are the exact steps I should follow and try to follow it. Where Nino's much more brave, I think, and takes more risk with his art.
Art itself diversifies everything, right? When you get, say you get somebody doing a play and somebody doing art classes, the mix of people that come together allow them to learn more about themselves.
The couple has dreams of opening a studio one day to help people unlock their own potential.
Because something like pottery, for example, and just art in general, really isn't accessible. It's not accessible to our Latino community for a variety of reasons.
We all artists at heart. The difference between an artist and a non-artist is an artist is willing to put itself out there.
Ultimately, the goal is for their artwork to go beyond the canvas.
To serve as not just windows for other cultures and people to peek in and learn about our culture, but more importantly to serve as mirrors for our young Latino children to see themselves reflected in the work that we do.
A lot of our youth have disconnected from who we are as people, and we live in a beautiful country, and being a veteran, I'm proud of my country, but I'm proud of Puerto Rico, I'm proud of being Puerto Rican.
Did you know only 6% of doctors in the United States are Hispanic? That's despite Hispanics making up 19% of the country's population. I caught up with a few bright minds right here in Western New York that are working to bridge that gap and bring more representation in the medical field.
On the side, down below, too slow. You did not pass.
Pediatrician Dr. Giovanni Perez grew up in Ecuador. His career in medicine has taken him to places all around the U.S., from Miami for residency to D.C. for training, to now Buffalo, where he admits he only knew a few things about this city.
It was interesting. I didn't know much about Buffalo besides obviously the snow and the bills.
He quickly learned another fact.
There is a significant number of Hispanics in Buffalo, especially from like Puerto Rico.
Dr. Perez saw a need for more diversity and representation in healthcare.
The Hispanic population that just continues to grow in the US is something that is likely not going to change. So having the ability of people to speak their language and understand, not, as I say, it's not only the language, it's understanding their culture, religion, what happens, and is extremely helpful for patient care. All right, sir, favorites.
When his patients arrive to his office at UBMD Pediatrics on Main Street, they feel right at home.
It's amazing when you can talk the same language and then you can actually provide cultural care. So you understand a little bit more of the background, what they're going through. And when you have a patient in the clinic or a parent that as soon as you start speaking Spanish, you can see how their eyes light up.
Now Dr. Perez is leading the charge to inspire future doctors and nurses to tap into their culture and backgrounds and offer the same quality care to patients.
Even when you speak the same language, communication can be an issue, but imagine what happens when somebody doesn't speak your language. We do have interpreters that can help, but it's not the same. And it's not only the language, it's kind of that cultural background, how you talk to another Hispanic parent. Improves outcomes. There's many papers in the medical literature that show that cultural competence improves outcomes.
You learn not just about diseases, but what affects certain populations, and I think that's very, very important for someone like me who wants to treat the Hispanic community.
Judith Alvarez is in her second year of med school and is the president of the Latino Medical Student Association at Jacobs School of Medicine. Her family is from Cuba.
It's like a huge honor and privilege to even get here. I think the journey to getting here is very tough and often even tougher, I think, for minority groups.
That's why she's passionate about working with the Hispanic community here in Buffalo.
We want to unite and empower medical students in particular to really care for the Hispanic community and really provide a place for all of us to kind of congregate and kind of talk about our shared cultural experiences.
Through the Latino Medical Student Association, she organizes meetups where med students can learn Spanish.
Even being able to say a couple words, I think, really goes a long way with patients.
Something she's experienced firsthand during her schooling.
It's been really rewarding for me to be able to use my own language skills and my own background to connect with these people in the community and kind of provide a safe space for them.
Just as Dr. Perez does.
Just to showcase that you can achieve all of these things and be part of the community and try to have outreach programs, work with the community where they are. I've shown them that yes, this can be possible and just work together.
It's an honor to be able to contribute and share our culture and let people know that we get the job done the same way that anyone else can.
Still ahead, we'll introduce you to the owner of a construction company that's bringing Hispanic representation to the building of the new Bills Stadium.
This is the first project in upstate New York of its kind.
Well, all good things take time. And we want to make sure that we are doing it right because our community only deserves excellence.
And we talked to the leaders of a brand new one-of-a-kind cultural site in Buffalo about when it will open its doors and how it will lift up the local Hispanic community. Over a year ago, the Hispanic Heritage Council broke ground right here at the corner of Hudson and Niagara Streets for a new one-of-a-kind cultural site. It was originally scheduled to open its doors this fall. That timeline has been delayed. But as our Dylan Morello tells us, its mission and goals to support the community are still strong.
This is the first project in upstate New York of its kind.
Over a year ago, ground was broken on a new 37,000 square foot Hispanic Heritage Institute on Buffalo's west side. Designed to highlight and celebrate Hispanic arts, culture, and history, it was slated to open in 18 months. Casimiro Rodriguez Sr., president of the Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York, now tells us that isn't the case.
It's been a challenge. Our project summed up at the area of $30 million, but we went through some extensive value. We were able to reduce it, $26.5 million. Currently, we've raised $18.5 million. So we have a gap of around $8 million.
Of the $18 million raised, $1 million is federal funding. So how does the Hispanic Heritage Council plan to bridge the $18 million gap?
The plan is new market tax credits. We got consultants working on that. And we're formulating some grant applications to the New York State Council of the Arts. We're talking with the Ralph Wilson Foundation. 85% of those funds are funds that are not available till the project is completed.
Currently at the site here on Niagara Street, the foundation has been set. But in the last 12 months, virtually nothing else. So we asked, what is the updated timeline?
We hope that by the spring of 2026, the facility will be up and operational.
Despite the delay on the project, board director on the council, Denora Baines, tells us this won't affect their mission.
All good things take time. And we want to make sure that we are doing it right because our community only deserves excellence. We'll continue doing what we're doing. We'll continue partnering with community organizations. We'll continue sharing our culture, educating the community, having all of these events, and building on that and building on the programming, because it's not stopping anything.
The council is hosting dozens of free events in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. Baines says that anyone can help support the council by donating towards the Institute's construction, all while celebrating the local Hispanic community.
You will be welcome to all of the events. You don't even have to be Hispanic. You don't even have to speak Spanish. Just join us and enjoy the fun.
Construction of the new stadium for the Buffalo Bills is well underway. I talked to a Latino-owned and run construction company that's playing a part in building this new home for the team, about why representation is a building block in strong communities. When the plans for a brand new stadium for the Buffalo Bills was announced, Alexander Burgos didn't think his construction company had a chance of getting involved in such a massive project.
I knew we could complete the work. I just wasn't sure at the time if it would be scaled in a way that companies like mine would be able to participate in.
This was a challenge Erie County Legislator Chairperson April Baskin accepted. She saw the stadium project as an opportunity for minority-owned and run businesses and pushed to have them included. Burgos, who's a proud Puerto Rican, says it's not easy for his business to compete for these contracts.
But what's lacking with a lot of the minority and women-owned companies alike is the opportunity. So when projects like this come around, generally you have firms that have been around a long time that have the connections and the scalability to take on this work. And what's missing really oftentimes is just getting the foot in the door.
Burgos felt intimidated because his company, Draghi Burgos Construction, was still new, starting just 3 years ago.
I told her, no way, right? We're way too small of a company. I just have a couple guys. That's $1 billion project. You know, all the contracts are going to get awarded to the firms that have been around for decades and can give examples of projects that they've completed that are in the millions of dollars.
With the work of the Community Benefits Oversight Committee, spearheaded by Baskin, Draghi Burgos Construction was hired. His company worked in partnership with Union Concrete to construct 2 pump houses that will supply water to the new stadium.
And that's part of why I'm grateful to April and her advocacy was to make sure, you know, hey, this is a project that needs thousands of members of our workforce over the next 3 years. We can't just rely on the existing crews that have been out here for a long time, right? Like we need to branch out and find out who has the skill sets that can assist in this project that normally wouldn't get invited to the table.
Burgos says family heritage laid the foundation for his success.
It's been a wonder. Both my parents came here from Puerto Rico. My father was in the U.S. Army. My mom is a retired union teacher in the city of Buffalo. And all we ever wanted was to contribute to this community.
And knowing he played a part in building the stadium, when football fans walk through the gates for the first time, Burgos will feel like a winner.
It's an honor to be able to contribute and share our culture and let people know that, you know, we get the job done the same way that anyone else can. It's a source of pride. It's the biggest construction project that our region has ever seen, so it's a blessing to be a part of it. All our guys are super excited. We all love the Bills.
We're trying to bring the same taste as Mexico to the U.S. The Mexican or the Latin heritage means a lot, and we thank everyone for the support.
Coming up, from a food truck to several restaurants, we give you a taste of some authentic Hispanic cuisine here in Western New York. The News 4 Hispanic Heritage Special continues in about 2 minutes. A big part of any culture is the food. And while Buffalo is known for its wings, it's also making a name for itself with its traditional Hispanic cuisine. Ardilla Morello sat down with the owner of Aguacate's Cantina, who says it all started with a food truck and a dream.
It took a lot of effort and obviously 20 years to get where we are.
Jose Castaneda and his wife began their culinary journey in 2003. Originally from Mexico, they started with a humble food truck in the Batavia area.
We started feeding the migrant workers. That's where it all started. And then from there, it escalated.
Starting as a migrant farm worker himself here in New York, Castaneda saved up money to follow his true dream, opening his first restaurant 10 years ago in Lockport.
My goal was not to be an employee of a migrant farm my whole life. I quit my job back in 2016. I had a full-time job as a manager of a farm, and I quit my job and dedicated my whole time to the restaurant industry.
Like any good restaurant, it is the food that brings people back, and Aguacate's Cantina's cuisine is as authentic as it gets.
We're trying to bring the same taste as Mexico to the U.S. My wife's a very good cook. Obviously my mom were great cooks, and I guess we were inspired, by the Mexican cuisine, the taste of the food, and bringing it to a bigger scale.
In total, there are 15 Aguacate's locations across the state. Noel Pagan, who's the manager at the newest restaurant to open in Hamburg, has worked with Castaneda for the past 8 years.
See where he started and now where he is now, it literally gives you hope to be someone out there and, become the person you want to be. We act like family, even though we're not, related. They're Mexican, I'm Puerto Rican, and honestly, can't have it better.
Castaneda says it wasn't easy to get to this point, but it's well worth it for anyone with a dream.
Don't take no for an answer. Keep going. Don't let anyone tell you can't do it. The Mexican or the Latin heritage means a lot, and we thank everyone for the support.
We have to recognize that the Hispanic and Latino story is the American story. We're all Americans, and we have to celebrate that.
The Queen City is putting the history of Hispanic heritage on display for all to share. Stay tuned. We continue our celebration of Hispanic heritage after the break. Hispanic Heritage Month celebrates not only the current members of our local Hispanic community, but the ones that came before them as well. Our Hope Winter shows how those stories are being shared right here at the Buffalo History Museum.
Not everyone gets the chance to travel all over the world, but by us celebrating those cultures here, you can learn about it and enjoy them and celebrate with us.
I think that every family that has come here from wherever, Latin America, Mexico, Puerto Rico, they have a story to tell.
Casimiro Rodriguez Sr. grew up in Lackawanna after his father and mother moved to Western New York from Puerto Rico. Now Rodriguez helps connect and share the stories of how the Hispanic community evolved here in Western New York.
We're part of the melting pot here in Western New York. Buffalo and Western New York is very diverse, and the Hispanic community is a big piece of that. Hispanics have been part of the fabric of Western New York since the late 1800s to the present.
Throughout the month, the Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York is partnering up with multiple entities, including the Buffalo History Museum, to hold several events, celebrations, and discussions that highlight the importance of Hispanic heritage here in Western New York.
Hispanics are so diverse because we have Hispanic countries not only in South Central America and the Caribbean, but also Europe, continent of Africa. So Hispanics are more diverse than people realize.
They'll have events at Explore More, the Buffalo Naval Park, Niagara University, and more to help celebrate the cultures of around 75,000 Western New York neighbors.
We have to recognize that the Hispanic and Latino story is the American story. We're all Americans, and we have to celebrate that.
Thank you so much for watching our Hispanic Heritage Month special. We hope you enjoyed it. You can find these stories and more information about the people and organizations we featured on our website, WIVB.com. I'm Sarah Mikowitz. Adios from News 4.